Hi everybody, there is a company called Vevor. Now we use Vevor gear. We've got that Vevor lathe over there that we did a video on that we got not so long ago, and they've been watching what we've been up to with these things, and based on that they sent us this. Anybody like to guess what it is? It is of course a diesel heater. Let's get it out of the box. There it is. It is an 8 kilowatt 12 volt diesel heater. Now their slogan is tough equipment and tools, pay less. And to be honest, it's a bit marketing, but I can't disagree. We've had their lathe for ages now and it's really solid, doing the job. Of course, what we're really interested in at the moment is heaters, and what they've been watching are the heaters. So we've got this, which is £102.99, which I don't think is so hugely expensive actually. There is a 5% discount code given in the description below if you're looking at one, and I'm liking the idea of this biodiesel diesel heating system. Biodiesel mostly for me, or multi-fuel or something like that, where we can actually heat a space, where we have some control over the energy that we're using. Because the problem with using metered electricity is you don't really notice it until you get the bill and you think, holy Hannah. Here, you're going to be buying that fuel and using it and going to have much more control over it. Now, it is obviously a cabin heater, and in the book it says use in cabins, don't use it long term inside. Long term, they're saying all day. So it's got its limitations, like all of these things have their limitations, but it represents quite an opportunity, really. And if you take the lid off, it's going to have pretty much what you expect. So here's our fuel tank right there. Got a little fuel pipe, it's clearly going to the pump here. This black body is the burner bit, and then there's a fan on the back to force some air through, and of course it exhausts through here. Now, I guess what I ought to do is fill it up and try it. What I'm actually going to do is take it to pieces and have a look how it's made, put it back together, then we'll give it a go. So let's get it a bit more to pieces. Really can't give some people anything, can you? So here's our readout and control panel. We've just connected it there. At the back there, all we've really got is the fuel pump fuse and connection to the 12 volt supply, which is presumably straight onto the battery. Then we've got our fuel tank, which I've taken out, and the heart of the machine. This is clearly the burner chamber. Here's where the fuel went in. Here's where our little controls are. Got a chamber in there and then a fan on there. So let's continue, see how we can break this down. Okay, that's clever. You ever seen The Outsider? When he does that convection heater using candles, what he does is he draws the air from the outside and puts it into a box. The box has got 4 candles in that then burn, and then he exhausts it through a chimney. And he does this in a small sort of sleeper caravan, so he's basically made a coffin unless he does something else about it. And what he does is he has an inlet and an outlet contained within that cabin, and they're not connected to the air draw or the exhaust. They pull the air from the cabin and then heat it by convection, and that's exactly what this thing is doing, which is pretty cool. So in this little plastic case, it sucks in the air from wherever you've got it and then blows it over these fins and then out, and that's how you get your heating. Now inside here, which is the heart of the device, we've got the burner. So here's where the fuel inlet goes in. So clearly that's where the fuel goes in. Here we've got an inlet for the outside air, so you put that to the outside in the same way the outsider did. It burns, we get some exhaust here, and this gets hot. Then we blow the air over the hot cylinder, and that's how the heating actually takes place. So it's very different to an oven, or a stove rather, where you're going to heat a mass of metal and then the air is radiant, the air heats up by the radiant heating. Here we're using that convection across here to isolate the burn chamber from the area in which you're living. So you clearly draw the air in and exhaust the air in and out of the space that you're heating, but this moves that air in the space that you're heating around to heat the air. So very clever actually, but that's the heart of the machine, and it's pretty much like what the Outsider did. So I've taken the head off, and that is the air inlet, but there's the fan for the convection heating, and in there we've got a little turbo. Isn't that cool? So the turbo forces the air in there, and here we've got the corresponding air inlets, and there's a little sort of glow plug right there, and there is the fuel inlet. So fuel comes in here, the air forces it over the heated membrane, heated glow plug, and there'll be like a blast chamber in this section here. Actually, I think that's really quite clever. Okay, so that is just a lump of aluminium, hey? So the whole point of this bit is it's a mass of metal that gets hot. There's a temperature sensor there, I guess, to stop you melting the whole thing into a greasy spot. And then we have our exhaust outlet. So that is meant to just be a chamber, get hot, blow the air over it, and then that's how we get our heating. And here is the burn nozzle itself. So there's the fuel inlet, that's where the air comes in there. We've got a burn nozzle down the bottom, and then this protective sleeve where we get a jet of flame. I mean, there's actually not a lot to go wrong with that, and if it does go wrong, well, I've just disassembled it, which was 8 screws, so it wasn't that difficult to disassemble it and give it a clean. So I'm not sure I'm supposed to do any of that, but I wanted to have a good look at it, see how it worked, see how robust it actually was, and it's a pretty chunky build. It's a pretty nice thing. It's, in its essence, not that complex. Got some nice control circuitry going on there, obviously, but the basic machine is good and solid and stable. So, I guess what we do now is put the whole thing back together and see if it works. Incidentally, they're graphite seals, which is a great material for using in high temperature. Okay, that's it back together. I don't even have a leftover screw, so awesome stuff. Now, of course, the thing to do is fill it up with a bit of fuel, turn it on and see how it actually works. But that was a surprising amount of engineering for only 100 quid, wasn't it? Okay, so I've connected to a battery, stuck some diesel and put the exhaust pipe on. It comes with a whole load of these extendable pipes to go in and out of various places. I haven't bothered. I'm going to let it draw the air from the room, and of course I just wanted to blow the air through the room and clear the room out. But the exhaust, I've put the exhaust pipe on. It comes with this. It's a really cute little muffler, hey? And that goes on the end of your exhaust pipe, clearly. So we stick that on, there we go. And we're ready to turn it on and give it a go. So the actual instruction book that it comes with is actually really quite good. The installation diagrams are easy to follow. There's a breakdown of the machine, even though we took it apart. And it wasn't the most challenging thing to actually get going. Well, okay, there's no way I'm waggling my hand in front of that, because I'm about, what, 4 or 5 feet away, and I can feel the heat. Anyway, good machine, seems well made. I mean, we did have one hell of an inspect of it, hey? Does what it says on the box, and it's only £102. So it is a viable option, I think, if you don't feel like making one of these things yourselves. Now, of course, the win here is the fuel burn. If you can scrounge up oil from a friendly restaurateur and turn it into biodiesel, you're going to be paying 5 or 10 cents a litre, something like that, to buy your oil. So not very expensive. If you're going to run it on normal diesel, because it is a diesel heater, remember, then the win is going to be the amount of time you use it, because obviously when your own main heating is on, you're heating the entire house, and usually for a period of time you don't actually remember. And with this, you're going to be space heating a particular area on demand, and of course you're going to be turning it off when you feel warm enough, so you're going to get your win by the less use that you're going to be burning something rather than anything else. Now, it's particularly popular with RVs and boats and cabins and truck drivers, that sort of thing. And I have heard that people have been using these as their own heaters. So not a bad option at all, really. Now, they do a range of these. This is just the one that I chose when they asked me did I want to do something on them, so I chose this one. But there's a whole range of them of various types, and like I say, the instruction books are pretty easy, and it wasn't really a challenge to set this up and get it going. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it sort of gives you an option that's out there, and a big takeaway for everybody else really is how this was made. I mean, we did go in depth to it. That idea, combined with what the outsider did, gives us options on how we might think about constructing our own as well. So it's a good machine, but there's a lot to be learned from it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it inspires you. I hope that you're up to something, and please do let me know what it is. So, thank you very much for watching the video, and please do remember to like and subscribe.